Well, here we are in Victoria, rainy day.
Israel out of Gaza! Israel out of Gaza! Israel out of Gaza! Israel out of Gaza!
What's going on?
Well, we organized a demonstration for today at noontime, and I advised the police department of same, and then spoke to the city.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be on all of you. My name is Muhammad Yunus Mirza, and I am an unaffiliated member of the Muslim community. There will be no peace in the occupied Palestine unless and until the Western governments deal with Palestinians honestly and fairly, either establishing a sovereign state of Palestine or making Palestinians equal citizens of Palestinian Israeli state. Stop blaming the victims of aggression and end this human tragedy with intellectual honesty and moral courage. Professional liars, I repeat, professional liars, our own politicians and diplomats cannot hide the truth that what is happening in Gaza Strip is genocide and ethnic cleansing. The world knows it. The world knows it. Palestine shall live. God will.
Israel out of Gaza! 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 Okay, folks, our next speaker will be John DiStefano from Kaya, the Canadians Against Israeli Apartheid.
Thank you, and welcome everyone that's here for braving the rain and the counter-demonstration. We have a group of counter-demonstrators here. I would like to read a letter, a very poignant letter that was written actually in 2001. It's by a Jewish woman by the name of Judith Stone. The letter to the Kansas City Jewish Chronicle was rejected and the editor was fired. They didn't publish the letter, obviously. This letter was then, I saw it on the internet, it was published by Independent Catholic News. I'm going to read parts of it. I am a Jew. I was a participant in the rally for the right of return to Palestine. It was the right thing to do. I've heard about the European Holocaust against the Jews since I was a small child. I visited the memorials in Washington, D.C. and Jerusalem, dedicated to Jewish lives lost. And I've cried at the recognition to what level of atrocity mankind is capable of sinking. Where are the Jews of conscience? Where are the Jews of conscience? Where are the Jews of conscience?
Where are the Jews of conscience?
Where are the Jews of conscience?
Please let me continue. No righteous malice can be held against the survivors of Hitler's Holocaust. These fragments of humanity were in no position to make choices beyond that of personal survival. We must not forget that being a survivor or a co-religionist of the victims of the European Holocaust does not grant dispensation from abiding by the rules of humanity. Never again, as a motto, rings hollow when it means never again to us alone. My generation was raised being led to believe that the biblical land was a vast desert inhabited by a handful of impoverished Palestinians living with their camels and eking out a living in the sand. The arrival of the Jews was touted as a tremendous benefit to these desert dwellers. Golda Meir even assured us that there is no Palestinian problem. We know now this picture wasn't as it was painted. Palestine was a land filled... Hold on. Please let me continue. Palestine was a land filled with people who called it home. There were thriving towns and villages, schools and hospitals. There were Jews, Christians and Muslims. In fact, prior to the occupation, Jews represented a mere 7% of the population and owned 3% of the land. Taking the blinders off for a moment, I see a second atrocity perpetrated by the very people who should be exquisitely sensitive to the suffering of others. These people knew what it felt like to be ordered out of your house. These people, I would like to continue. These people knew what it was like to be forced to march into the night to unknown destinations or face execution on the spot. The people who displaced the Palestinians knew firsthand what it means to watch your home in flames, to surrender everything dear to your heart at a moment's notice. Bulldozers leveled hundreds of villages, along with the remains of the village inhabitants, the old and the young. There was nothing new. That was nothing new to the world.
Our next speaker is Chris from the Students for a Democratic Society at UVic.
I've been aware of this problem in Gaza. I viewed it as something that was very far away from me, and in ways it still is very hard to connect to. Some things, though, in the last few weeks after this invasion has started, it really struck me. And one of those is the casualties here. And just a question to everybody around, if anybody knows how many Palestinians have died since this is...
800. Over 800.
Over 800, 1,000 we have here. The numbers aren't even getting out anymore because the Western journalists have been banned from the Gaza Strip. There are no journalists from the West in places like Rafah. All that's getting out is tidbits of information. When the Israeli Defense Forces drop pamphlets on the city of Rafah saying, citizens of Rafah, because Hamas is using your houses to smuggle and store ammunition, the Israeli Defense Force will attack your homes. We will come into your homes, you'd better not be there, leave, because when you come back, they won't be there. And you'll be living in a pile of rubble, like the rest of the people in this Gaza ghetto. That in history has only been compared to really apartheid and Warsaw in Poland in the 1940s. There is no other comparison.
Our next speaker is a Palestinian woman who would like to give her thoughts on Gaza.
Good day, everyone. I'm sorry, I didn't want to speak. I want to speak, but I'm worried about getting emotional. But I'm Palestinian, born and raised in Kuwait City, and we started a petition called humanrightsforgaza.com. My sister and I started it. My sister lives in California. I'm the founder of worldunity.ca since 1994 in Edmonton, Alberta, and I've always played a part in helping people, uniting people together. I have a lot of family and relatives in Gaza at the moment, and I've been speaking to them every day. I stayed up till 4 this morning speaking to all my family in Gaza, and one of my aunt's houses just got bombed. I've been talking to them. They have no water, they have no electricity, no heat, no food, they don't have any flour. None of the trucks that get into Gaza, the food doesn't get to any of the people. It gets into the wrong hands. It gets on the wrong hands. It is time for us to unite, because this is happening to Gaza at the moment. It can happen to all of us. We need to live in peace. We need to help these people. This is very inhumane. This is why human rights is supposed to stop this. Please help us. Let us unite.